Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic. Here today with a very special tune-up. We've got our first tune-up from a patron, premium patron Nick Cooper, at the Metalwork Colossus tier. Thank you, Nick. We're very much looking forward to taking a look at your list and seeing how we can help. If you want to be a patron, you can find us at patreon.com/cmdrmechanic. Some of our tiers have perks like this for premium tune-ups, front-of-the-line access to tune-ups. If that interests you, if you want to see your deck featured in a video and you'd like my feedback on it, consider becoming a patron. Let's see what's in the workshop. Patron Nick Cooper writes, "This Marchesa deck has become my favorite deck and has a pretty high win rate in my playgroup. Unfortunately, it feels like value for the sake of value and doesn't win quickly. I can draw cards and recur creatures, but can't finish out a game." First of all, Nick, thanks so much for supporting the channel. It's thanks to patrons like you that we're able to keep making great content. Marchesa the Black Rose is a fantastic commander. This Grixis, blue, black, and red commander wants to put +1/+1 counters on your creatures so they keep coming back at the end of each turn. That means we can potentially get a lot of value from sacking our own creatures and enters the battlefield abilities. This is a delayed trigger, meaning if the creature died while Marchesa was on the battlefield, even if Marchesa is not on the battlefield any longer, this creature will return. But if Marchesa has a counter on her, she'll bring herself back too. Marchesa also has a built-in mechanic to give creatures +1/+1 counters in Dethrone. Dethrone means that if your creatures attack the player with the highest life total, they get a +1/+1 counter. Note the ability says player with the highest life total, meaning if you have the highest life total, you're out of luck. These abilities mean we want to be attacking for easy counters, keeping our life totals a little lower, and exploiting the ability to reanimate creatures each end step. Your list is tight, Nick. Really good start here. Really sweet interactions. You're packing some great stuff like Grave Pact and Dictate of Erebos to get value from sacking your own creatures. And you've got plenty of sack outlets like all 3 altars. This means you can essentially be machine gunning your opponent's board for a strong control aspect. But I see what you mean about closing out the game. It looks like you've currently got 3 routes to winning. The first is classic, attacking. Your creatures all have Dethrone with Marchesa out, so it's natural you want to be swinging with bulky bodies. However, most of your creatures are utility creatures and may not make the best attackers. Your second route to victory, like you mentioned, is through value. You're able to recur creatures and spells every turn with cards like Archaeomancer, Glenalendra Archmage, and even Dockside Extortionist. Your third route is through draining and damage. Kokusho the Evening Star, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and Flayer of the Hatebound. These cards are your quickest and biggest payoffs. Now I want to make room for some new goodies, so I'll recommend a few removals. First, let's ditch the one-time card draw spells, Read the Bones, and Night's Whisper. You don't want to be taking a turn off to draw cards. You want to be drawing cards for being efficient with your game plan. We'll want to remove some of your more expensive sack outlets. Cutting Grimgrin and Kalitas help make room at the top of your curve. You really don't need Chromatic Lantern in the deck. My artifacts video goes into detail on this, but basically 3 mana rocks aren't required, especially with all of the mana rocks you've already got in the deck. Spellskite and Hex Parasite are also iffy includes. However, I don't know your specific playgroup or meta, so I'm not certain why they've been included, but from this perspective, I'd recommend them cut. Now we'll want to look at ways we can lean into your win conditions even more. Let's see if we can't amp up your game plan and help you win sooner. First, let's see how we can make your attackers better. Pyreheart Wolf is an easy include here. Not only does it give your attackers Menace when it attacks, but it has Undying. naturally giving itself a +1/+1 counter. This means even smaller creatures can get through for more value and trigger dethrone more often. Between a creature with Undying and Marchesa, you can never remove it. Olivia, mobilized for war, allows you to not only put +1/+1 counters on creatures, but give them haste. That can lead to some surprising attacks and plays with combat math combined with Dethrone. Cards with Unleash are decent as well. Ixava, Rakdos Blood Witch, comes down with First Strike, Haste, a +1/+1 counter, and with Marchesa, Dethrone. She also gives all other creatures you control with +1/+1 counters haste. That's like everything you want to do. To amp up your value creatures, I'd recommend adding Sadistic Hypnotist. Sure, it can only be activated as a sorcery, but it allows you to effectively strip away your opponent's hands every turn. Remember that discard that only affects your opponents is a form of card advantage. Now, this next inclusion pushes your curve a little bit, but I also really like Liliana Dreadhorde General here. She can barter in blood on demand, and you break the symmetry with Marchesa's Recursion. She also draws you cards, potentially every turn, thanks to that passive. This is what I mean by wanting to include card draw that rewards you for doing things that you're already doing. Now, to up that damage and drain game plan, I recommend Terror of the Peaks. Yes, this new dragon from M21 is a pandemonium on a body, and you're going to be getting ETB triggers to be pointed anywhere repeatedly. If you can get an engine running with Terror, Marchesa, and a sack outlet, you can be throwing lightning bolts at your opponent every single turn. Additionally, I'd recommend Sidisi, Undead Vizier. Combined with a way to get counters on her, she can be a tutor a turn. That will really help you assemble some of your value wins quicker and help you close out the game on a tighter clock. So here's our tune-up. We made some swaps to get you some more natural value from your 3 paths to victory. All of them work really well together and help increase the overall value of each and every other card in the deck. We've shifted the curve slightly closer to 3 mana, only up about 0.2 of a mana, and we're now ensuring every card in your deck just oozes synergistic value. This tune-up wasn't easy, Nick. It's clear you've put a lot of TLC into this deck. I do want to remind everyone that patrons at our Metalwork Colossus level, like Nick, get front-of-the-line access to tune-ups. If you've got a deck you want feedback on and want to skip the queue, consider becoming a patron. For upgrades, I'd recommend Fast Mana. You've got Mana Crypt in already, but really need access to colored mana. Chrome Mox would be a good include here for sure. Lotus Petal is also a possibility. If you're looking at creeping up the power level of the deck, this is the route that you want to take. Cabal Coffers would also be a solid include, considering you're already running Urborg. I included Expedition Map in my build so that you can grab cards like Phyrexian Tower or Ancient Tomb, but with Coffers in, grabbing the combo of Coffers / Urborg would be the ideal route. This helps you ramp very quickly and can get you to your win cons very fast. Scourge of the Throne is also a decent add if you want to lean more into the combat aspects of the deck. 2 combats a turn, with some of the creatures you have, can just be crushing to your opponents. Lastly, Vampiric Tutor would be a good way to be able to grab the right card for the right situation. It is pricey, but if this is the deck that you're investing in, it's worth it. Getting these combos and these synergies out when you need them, a tutor is essentially a wild card. Thanks again to Nick Cooper for being a patron. If you are interested in a front-of-the-line tune-up or access directly to some of my thoughts, consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/CMDRmechanic. We've got lots of goodies coming up, including exclusive deck techs and some more interesting projects. Until next time, folks, good luck and have fun. A shout out to our patrons this month: Ben Frayne, and Nick Cooper. Thank you very much. We couldn't be the channel we are today without you. All advice in this video is advice only. Commander is about having fun your way. Don't let anybody tell you how to play EDH.